Welcome to the Independent Characters, episode 226. I am joined by Josh today, and you may notice if you're watching on video that we are not, well, one of us is in the studio, the other one's at home. There's a couple reasons for this. One, schedules just weren't quite lining up, but also it kind of doesn't matter for this episode because Josh, I'm super excited about what we're doing this episode. You and I have dumped a lot of work into it already.
Yeah. Something new, wild, and different.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot of fun.
I hope people enjoy it. What I will tell you is once we get through our normal hobby progress and games played stuff, and we get into the meat of the show, if you're not watching on YouTube, you're going to be missing out on a bit here, and you'll catch some of it, but really the full experience, I think, is going to be on YouTube for this. So
yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So you're definitely going to want to check that out if you haven't here, because you're going to see some pretty interesting things. And we're going to be joined by 3 guests shortly who are participating. But the episode is titled The Grimdark Gauntlet. This is a new game show we have created specifically around Warhammer 40,000. Well, and the independent characters. So we think we've got a lot of cool and fun, games, contests of wit, skill. You'll see. Yeah. Anyway,
stay tuned to find out.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Before we get started, though, I'd like to throw out a shout out to Aiden, Roselle, and Lowtech, who are our 2 sponsors that we have drawn today. They are helping us out through our Patreon. We could not, quite frankly, we couldn't be doing this right now without the Patreon. So we do appreciate your guys' support, and thank you so much. We really do appreciate. We are starting to do some new things, as you're seeing with this episode, as a result of that support. So thanks. If you're interested in learning more about the Patreon, you can find links to that from our website at theindependentcharacters.com. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the show is really focused around this game show concept that I think everybody will enjoy. There's some silliness in it. There's some very fun in it. It's going to require some knowledge. Josh, you saw the...
Yeah, it's no cakewalk.
Yeah, there is a trivia portion of it. It is a portion, but if this goes well and people seem to enjoy it, we will do more of these, and they won't always be the same games within the game show.
Right.
So we've kind of created a plethora of games, if you will, but we're only pulling 4 of those this episode, and we'll see how it goes from there. So, and there's real prizes on the line too. So just saying. Yeah. Should we just leap into Elite Choice?
I think so.
Why don't you go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went with James Front, and they had taken a break from 40K for a while, stepped away, been focusing more on historical miniatures and things like that. But James's son came up to him and is asking about the Mad Max type figures in his display case, which of course were Necromunda figures. And then they ended up playing a game together of Necromunda, just kind of a father-son bonding moment over Necromunda, which is rad, on an amazing table with 2 great-looking gangs. Looks like Escher and Goliath, which is classic kind of boxed set for the relaunch of Underhive Showdown. Great-looking minis, great-looking table, and just a really cool experience. And then in the rest of the post, James was talking about kind of discovering Inquisitor and Inquisimunda, which is, of course, the 28 millimeter kind of scale of Inquisitor, Necromunda kind of hybrid there, and like just really getting amped up, and also obviously like sharing that moment with his son, I think was pretty cool and good inspiration, and passing the torch to future generations of hobby goers.
Nice.
It was just pretty neat. So yeah,
there's a few family things involved here, especially when we get to Shell's Kiss. But my choice, I had to leap on before you selected it. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Yep, this is the one I'm taking," which was Ned Smith and his corrupted Demon Titans. Man, like incredible. I saw what you were doing with your Demon Titans, and this is just even more of that. It's super exciting to see when. I got to admit, like I'm kind of chicken to break away from the mold on those models. Those models are not cheap to put together, to purchase. They're complicated to put together. So my hat's off to you, Josh, to Ned, and anybody who is kind of taking the leap to kit bash and put these things together. But I just thought the color schemes he used, I love the one that's floating without the...
Yeah, that Reaver that's like a floating tentacle torso.
I love it.
It very Dark Elder, like Chronos paint engine kind of esque to me, which is it's really neat. Yeah.
Super good.
So as I was saying in the last episode, see, my guys aren't really chaos corrupted, and this is the proof in the pudding right here. Like these guys take it to that level where I'm just...
You have literal bird heads growing out.
I'm lightly tainted.
You keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
You keep telling yourself that.
Hey, Magnus didn't do anything wrong, man. You know.
Yeah. Well, listen. He kind of did.
Yeah, he kind of did.
I like the guy and all, but let's admit it, he's a jerk. For being so smart, he's kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
Let me leap into Shell's Kiss, because as we were recording, Shell said, this is just before we started recording, when are you guys recording? I said, about an hour. She goes, oh, I have to pick my thing. But we were on a drive home yesterday, and we were on the road for like an hour and a half, and she was sitting there going, doom scrolling through the Facebook group, looking at things. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? I said, you have to pick. Like, I am not.
It's Shell's Kiss.
It is entirely for you. She selected, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, but it's Aske Emil Bregendal, who posted a picture of him playing, or rather assembling and painting a Space Marine with his son. Now, his son is super young, 2.5-year-old. And so Shell gave me some notes on what to say. I really want to get her in here just to say it sometime. But she chose this because of the ambition and potential. Now, bear in mind, Shell is also a kindergarten teacher. So if you're looking to hit a family thing. But she said, the thought of presenting such an activity to a 2.5-year-old seems ambitious. The focus and fine motor skills required could have led to a frustration and disappointment. So the patience required on Aske's part are unimaginable. The concentration and determination on the little guy is impressive. And you can see it in the pictures and the video that he posted. So she says, now imagine if he is producing a model like that at 2.5 and he continues to be interested, the potential is boundless for future projects. Plus, it reminded me of our kiddo's first model and paint scheme, the Devil Dogs. I forgot about the Devil Dogs. For those long
that was the chaos puddles. Yeah,
they fell to chaos because they stepped in a puddle of evil, and then they were
tainted.
Chaos. Yeah.
How do you know the taint of chaos? It's in that puddle.
It's in that puddle. Don't step in that. That was my
Nice.
kid at like 10 years old, 9 years old, something. Oh, that was so funny. But yeah, I love seeing stuff like this, right? And we saw several of these kind of next generation coming in.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to watch.
It's pretty, I got into not Warhammer, but I started with scale model kits when I was about 5. And this is like World War II airplanes and stuff like that. And then it was very shortly thereafter, like discovered Warhammer and Games Workshop and all their line of products. So, and here I am 35 years later.
Yeah.
Having, been in this deep for so long now that it's just, been a part of my life since, I was such a young kid. And it's just incredible. And seeing that happen for so many people, and like my dad wasn't in the hobby or something but me and my older brother kind of got into it at the same time. But imagine having that kind of shared experience with a parent, just passing it on right there. And you're building a built-in game buddy, for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Campbell from 40K Badcast. I mean, his father plays this stuff, and they still go play games on occasion, man. My dad wants nothing to do with it, which is funny because he's on the Facebook group and he'll occasionally say some stuff on the Facebook group, or he'll by the way, same name as me, so it's probably hard to tell. But he he's interested tangentially, like in more in what I'm doing as opposed to there's no way. I think the last book my dad actually read was like the Steve Jobs biography. Like he reads the newspaper. He still gets the newspaper. What are you doing? Anyway, so I'm kind of jealous in that sense. And when my kid was growing up, I tried to get them interested in it a little bit, and they were initially, but not enough to continue. Fortunately, they've gotten into like role-playing games and stuff, so we do get a bunch of that in occasionally, and they play with us in a couple games. So.
Yeah, you got board games and role-playing games here late in the later half of
that's right,
early adulthood.
That's right. So
yeah, nice.
All right. Well, listen, let's take a short break. Let's come back. We'll do Workbench, and we'll do games played, and then we'll get into the real meat of the show. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and we're going to leap right into the Workbench. Josh, I don't have anything in my notes here for hobby stuff that I did. I didn't do any painting. I did do my first 3D resin model prints, though.
Yes, you did.
Which will ultimately lead to me doing some bits and things for my 40K stuff. That being said, my first print was very successful. My second print, sort of successful. I started printing a much larger model, like the sea serpent thing. And
okay.
I put all three components of it on the build plate, and it built two of them, and the third one failed. And then so I went back to print the third one again, just on its own, after kind of cleaning out the reservoir and stuff. And it failed again. Like it seems like it maybe needs a little thicker supports or something.
That would something with supports or rotation that's causing that specific part to fail. Yeah,
I think I'll give it another go after I meddle a little bit with it. But I do have to say, I appreciate your help. I appreciate Jody's help, because it's a little intimidating when you don't know it's just the lack of knowledge, right? Like it becomes a little intimidating. And I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and there's tons of instructional stuff out there, but it helped to have somebody there who's done it to just go, okay, am I thinking right that you pour this here? This is what you do. And then you print it. And sure enough, works pretty great.
Yeah. And like you have a plethora of experience doing PLA printing in plastic. And there definitely is some of that transferable just experience.
The slicer
there, but resin's also a different beast at the same time.
But it's not like I'm coming out of nowhere. It's like I have this previous experience. But I'm super excited about the potential of it. Yeah. I started looking around immediately for what models can I print, and I got to give that a little more look-see, because I am interested in doing like bits for vehicles and that kind of stuff, add on to them and that kind of thing. Now, the nameplates you do you 3D print those?
I printed them. So I ordered the files from Versatile Terrain. He sent me the files for those, and I was able to print myself.
You print them, but you're not changing the name on it. He gives you the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have for smaller base sizes, I don't have anything for that size of the base, but for like a 32 millimeter round base or a 25 millimeter round base or something, I do have nameplates that I can modify through it's a type of CAD file in order to modify the names on there. So like what I did for Kill Team or what I do for Necromunda gang members, like I can change those names and print those out, but for the shape and size of the Titanicus plates, I had I put an order in for those ones and just printed them myself.
What was the name of that company again?
Versatile Terrain is who I went through. They're kind of the first and foremost, been very, very popular with that. I don't know if they offer the option of printing everything yourself for everybody, but because they're UK based, it's like, it's just, I've got the printer. If I can get the file, awesome. They, I think, predominantly like to print them and then just for, I think, the quality control side of things, and then ship it to you to make sure you're getting exactly what you're looking for.
That makes sense.
But it worked out well for me.
All right, cool. Well, we'll put a link to them in the show notes. But yeah, I'd definitely like to name my Necromunda guys too. So you and I should talk about that. All right.
Yep.
What have you been working on? A little bit of stuff.
Yeah, so Corrupted Titan continues. Got some paint going on that one. Got all the metallics in there. Started doing the undercoating, building up from prime it black, and then I usually will do an undercoat of gray to then start building up my purples and whites. So I've got all that is in progress. I actually did some 3D printing on that, noticing like after I had it built out, I was like, it'd be really cool if one of the Lord of Change heads that's on it is like breathing kind of warp flame out of it. So I found a piece online, just a free bit that looks like a kind of a ball of fire, a breath of fire.
Yeah.
So printed that out, and that's, stuck it in one of the Lord of Change mouths, and put a tongue in the other one, and it's having a cool option of just being able to kind of print those custom conversion bits. I'm integrating a bunch of the what did I say, spirit hosts bits to kind of look more like warp possess or warp souls floating around the Titan, and actually ended up finding additional models of these and 3D printed those as well, so that I would just have a plethora of them to choose from, some like little kind of warp explosions, and then more just like spirit host type looking things, just warp entities that are going to be kind of swirling around this Titan when it's all said and done.
Gotcha.
So that continues to be in progress. Hopefully I'll have it done. That, again, I'm working towards that for an event that we're going to in just a couple weeks, three or 4 weeks now. So I do want to have that wrapped up hopefully by next episode. It's in pretty good shape to get there. And then I also borrowed a bunch of the Speed Paint 2.0s from you, the Army Painter Speed Paints, and took those for...
Sent those over to us to take a look at, and it's a huge box of them. It's the full set.
There's a lot of paints in there.
Yeah.
So I took those for my first test drive with some models that I had 3D printed for D&D specifically. Mm-hmm. So it's a Shadow Dark game that Jody and our other buddy Matt is running. So I have a roster of characters, because you go through characters potentially very quickly in that compared to your traditional campaigns of D&D. But what I did get to do is I did kind of a modified slap chop. So I did a Zenithal primed to black, did a Zenithal highlight of gray, and then did a very light dry brush, because these are kind of fiddly resin models. I didn't want to do a very heavy dry brush. I did a very light-handed dry brush of white and kind of those just more natural highlighted spots, and then speed paint on top of that, and was pretty happy with the results that I was able to get relatively quickly.
Did you, the main complaint about the first line of them was reactivating when you were painting over them. Did you have any issues with that?
No issues with reactivation. The only thing too, as you can see in the photo there, is I did go back and added some highlights onto the skin specifically. Just because my light-handed dry brush wasn't quite enough to get the detail that I was looking for. Just with the paint alone, again, and that's also partially because these are just fragile resin models, so I wasn't not very heavy-handed with my dry brush on those. But so just the paint covered extremely well. The saturation is pretty good. Like those reds and browns especially, I was like, I will absolutely. And even the metallics, I was really impressed with how well they covered.
I haven't used the metallics yet. I
used 2 golds, a silver, and a steel. There's like a polished silver, armor gold, some kind of like loot gold. I don't remember if that was the exact name or not. They all covered really well, and it was single coat. Looks great. They don't shade quite as much as the other speed paints, so I might add a little wash into those ones. But the coverage, it was still incredible. Like very high pigmentation. I love having the little agitation balls built into those dropper bottles, so you just give them a shake, and it's really doing some work there. And then just
I got to tell you, I'm a fan. I'm a fan, and honestly, had I not been sent the set, if after having played with them like I have, I would buy this full set.
Yeah. It's useful. It's so I have 2 more.
And in fact, if you and I want to go halves, we could buy a whole nother set.
Just split
the cost, and then we'll both have one.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because they're great. I've really become a fan of that slap chop or even slap chop modified method.
Yeah, and I've played very little with contrast paints just because I've been painting for 30 plus years. Right. So I really have my recipes and techniques and all that kind of dialed in. Yeah. So for me, it's I don't want to reinvest into a system because I have all these, paints existing, and I have my techniques and just kind of my workflow. But
did you find it to be fast?
It was a little bit faster. I also don't tend to paint individual models that often. I'm usually doing kind of army scale things where I'm batching 5 or more models at a time. So these just being one-off models that I was like, oh, let's just try these unique colors on this model. Let's try these ones. I think the real kind of selling point for me is going to be I'm doing 2 more D&D models that I'm printing out as we speak, and then I did prep while I was doing this. I prepped all my my Warcry warband. So the
nice.
Okay. I'm blanking on the name right now. Something the True Blades, Asgargan True Blades, the vampires. So I had already done a brown base coat of those. So, and this was before I had got my hands on any of the speed paints. So I actually went back and then did kind of a zenithal like bone, and then a white dry brush on there. So it's still the brown base coat, but then a zenithal bone, and then kind of the white dry brush on there. So they're prepped and ready to go to apply paint, and that is going to be more of like how I would traditionally paint a force, where it's I think it's 7 models that are going to have a kind of similar cohesive color scheme going throughout.
Right.
And if this works as well as I have experienced thus far, then I'll be like, oh, that's that will definitely save some time.
Those D&D models are good, dude.
I'm a slow painter, slow and methodical. So it did help speed up a little bit. And if it can do that across a large thing, like I probably won't use it for Marines, just because the Army's in progress and kind of well established as well.
Dialed in.
And Marines aren't necessarily the best models for that. Just the shape of the physical size and shape and recesses and things like that. But
I'm telling you, like through an airbrush as a filter on Marines, it's amazing. Like once Caleb opened my eyes to that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole lot of applications I can do. And if I had to do it over again, because I've looked at the Tyranids, and if the thing is I can paint Tyranids better than my Tyranids are now.
Yeah.
If I had to do it all over again, I would totally go this route, using them through an airbrush after, doing all the highlights as necessary. And then, and man, I could get some really great looks. It's actually gotten me to the point where I'm like, should I just restart my Tyranid? But I'm not going that route.
With the new stuff,
but I'm also just like, I love them as models. Shell and I were talking about this actually on the way back, because she's like, I don't want to play them, because she had looked at some people's Tyranids, and there's some great ones in our community this last couple weeks, and she's like, I don't know that I necessarily want to paint them, but man, they're cool looking. And I said my problem with playing them is I just lack this attachment to them for the most part. But I have had some of my best games. The game that we keep really talking about games. I was playing Tyranids, so I don't know. But right now I'm still just focused on the Black Legion, but I've got that a little dialed in now. So I think next episode, I'm doing some travel, but next episode you'll see some Black Legion progress. So I'm looking forward to getting some of those guys done.
Nice. Yeah. And then in addition to some actual hobby work, I got a couple purchases with the new Marine stuff dropping. I did pick up the codex, the data cards, and I got 2 boxes of the jump pack assault intercessors and the jump pack captain. Even though I have 3 small Marine versions of a jump pack captain, I was like, let's get the new guy and just build it out special. And I'm super excited for that. So with that codex and getting the code in the physical book to unlock the app and be able to army build that way, like really went in and kind of finalize what I want to do with my 2,000 point army, so I can really kind of focus priorities. As soon as my Titan's done, I'm going to go back and kind of finish getting the Sharkadon's 2,000 point list like just dialed in, and then start playing a lot more games with them
for sure.
And then seeing where it goes. And while I'm playing with them, I'll be painting Eldar.
Right on. Cool. Should we go into games played?
Yeah, sounds great.
I don't think I did no purchases. So go ahead. You were going to do something with Brian.
Yeah. So Brian and I had a game scheduled for last week that we were going to be taking a 2,000 point game of Adeptus Titanicus. And this was specifically to test out the lists that we were planning on taking to the Chico event.
Yep.
2,000 points is a slightly different scale compared to what we're normally playing, is about 1,750, which is fairly standard size for a game of Titanicus. So 2,000 points opens up a couple options and really lets you play around with things. So I have two possessed Titans in that, 3 Warlord Titans and a possessed Reaver. So it's like very, very small model count, but very kind of powerful and elite. And then Brian was actually taking, I think, three Reavers and an Iconoclast, which is the big melee version of a Warlord, War Master Titan, which is kind of an experience in and of itself how they play. The Iconoclast, ironically, is actually a better support Titan than just kind of the traditional War Master, which needs support. They're really good at killing Titans, but they need help stripping shields, where the Iconoclast actually is pretty good at stripping shields to help all the rest of your Titans.
Interesting.
But then they also have these giant melee weapons, and they just will decimate whatever they do eventually get into combat with. They're obviously slow and lumbering. But yeah, so very excited to make that game happen. Still in anticipation for our game, but life happened for Brian.
Yeah.
And we'll get there soon. But yeah,
I got to put my list together too for that event, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're gonna have a ton of pictures and video stuff from that.
I'm so excited for that event and what they're doing. Just the theme of it is Titans assaulting a spaceport, and they have actually in scale size spaceships for that.
Really taking it to the next level.
It's going to be amazing.
It's pretty crazy. So for games played, I had quite the experience. And so a while back, Nick from Play on Tabletop had reached out to me prior to the pandemic about coming up there and playing a game, and I was super jazzed to go do it. And then the pandemic happened and we got sidetracked, and Nick chased me down at Adepticon this last year and said, "Hey, I would really like you to come up and still do this if you're interested." And I said, "Heck yeah, I'm interested." So I flew up there, and thank you, Nick, for putting me up for the evening. Now that I'm unemployed at the moment and still looking for work, I should say just starting to look for work. I didn't want to blow a bunch of money on hotels and stuff more than I already have for upcoming trips. So Nick put me up. He and his wife Laura, was very nice of them to put me up for 2 nights. But I went over there. I brought a mixed list of Thousand Suns and Tzeentch Demons versus his Imperial Guard. I will not tell you the end result of that game because it's going to come out on video in November, and you can watch it there. Suffice to say, it was challenging. It was challenging. It's first off, Nick's a more experienced player than I would say I am, because he's played a lot more games of 10th edition. They are churning out content like crazy.
Yeah. I'd say in general more experience, or 10th specifically.
I think 10th specifically. I had a lot of experience in 8th, not as much in 9th because we didn't really play a lot of 9th because of the pandemic. But But I think in general, I think he just got into it at the tail end of, I want to say 5th edition. He played one game of 5th. We played a lot of games of 5th.
Yeah, a lot of
games of 4th and 5th and 7th. I played probably more games of 7th and Horus Heresy than any other system at this point. Although 8th, we got a lot of games of 8th in.
Yeah, a lot of 8th.
That being said, the great thing is when they're filming this, JT, who's the guy that kind of manages making sure all the scores are being tracked, and, explain to me what unit did you have do that? And, he's just kind of keeping the narrative so that they can explain it later when they go through editing. JT is like a tournament player, super solid in the rules. So he is also there to help answer questions, when I would struggle with something, or in some cases give advice. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, you might want to think about this, or you might want to think about that," which I don't think they end up putting in the video, but it was helpful for making the game interesting to watch, right?
Yeah, interesting.
I did some good things. I made some mistakes. The reality is I'm just not practiced enough with my list right now to carry it on my own. So JT was incredibly helpful. And Nick was just a fantastic opponent. I mean, just super fun. He is just a great guy. And what you see on camera is kind of him. I mean, he probably amps it up a little bit for the camera where he's like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." But I mean, that's how he talks normally. He's very excited about what he's doing. Those guys are the studio that they have is crazy complicated. You know, the
all the cameras and terrain and models.
Josh, there's I want to say 6 or 7 cameras alone pointing at the table from different angles.
Wow. Yeah.
It's, you know, synced together with all kinds of stuff. Then you have the 2 screens behind you with projectors on the floor that project to the screens. You have buttons you could push to make like the screen do something like explode or something. I mean, we were just
neat.
We were goofing off a little bit with that. It's really well thought out. Now, Nick comes from, you know, he's gone to film school, and so he comes from a background of that kind of thing. He has some of the same skills you have. Tack, who's his partner, really, I think in this, it has a marketing background, right? And so together they like have a marriage of really good technical skills. And that said, they've hired, I want to say they have 5 or 6 editors, or 5 and maybe a 6th opening with they're looking for somebody in that area to do editing. And I sat through like one of their Scrum meetings, and it was like, oh, I'm having flashbacks to work here, because they were all talking about, we got to upgrade to this software, blah, blah, blah. And okay, you're working on this, I'm working on this. You know, they really do have a great organization there.
Yeah. That's a true production team in order to, bust out these incredible battle reports.
And not to mention, they are constantly painting new stuff, constantly. Sure. Like, this is their full-time job. Plus they have some other stuff. You know, I think Tack also has some other stuff he's doing. I don't know what I can or can't say, so I'm not really speaking much about that. But I got to tell you, I mean, that is a super professional organization of a lot of people that are super passionate about it. You know, and you and I have had a lot of discussions about what do we want to do and where do we want to go. And I think I came away from that going, this is not what I want to do. Like, this is, this bleeds a little too much into what is my hobby versus what is work. And I asked Nick at one point, so is this still fun for you, or is this just work? And he goes, no, it's really fun. He goes, but sometimes it's just a lot of work, you know? And I never want this, you know, what we have here to be a lot of work. I mean, that's not to say we don't work on the things we enjoy, but as soon as we don't enjoy it, we're like, let's do something else. You know?
Yeah, totally agree.
Not even the show. I mean, like, show concepts. Like, we've thought about, hey, we should do a show on this. We're like, do we really want to do that much?
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of research
right now, you know? I mean, and so, you know, you have to find a happy balance for yourself and what you enjoy. But this is, I mean, and also the other thing I talked to him about, and we're going to have Nick on, actually, maybe even Tack, or maybe Nick and JT, or whoever, you know, over there would like to join. Yeah. Because I'd like to talk to them a little bit about what they do and how they do it, and where they're providing explanation. I don't want to, they're pretty open about what they do, but I don't want to like say something I really shouldn't. It's all there.
Reveal the tricks of the trade.
I don't think that they really hold on to that. Listen, if you and I wanted to do what they do, we got to invest a lot more money
right,
where we are right now. And I don't think that's exactly what we're going for, which is great, because then he and I could share ideas and stuff, because neither of us we're not in each other's wheelhouse. But the other thing we talked about, quite frankly, was, you know, this idea of sometimes podcasts or shows like that feel a competition with each other.
Yeah.
And the reality is, like, the pie is fairly infinite that you're getting pieces of. I mean, granted, you are competing for people's eyeball views on YouTube channels or whatnot. It's time. But a lot of people are going to consume kind of everything, you know, and what they're going to really latch onto is, do I enjoy watching this?
Yeah.
If I enjoy watching this, I'm going to enjoy watching this one, and I'm enjoying watching this one, and I'm enjoying watching this one. I'm going to watch all 3. I'm not going to do away with one at the behest of the other.
Right.
I'm under no illusion that people don't listen to other podcasts. They should. You should go listen to 40K Badcast. I love it. Like, I love 100%. Those guys. I love those guys to death. You know, they're wonderful guys. This is why we get along. Like, those guys and us get along, because they're great guys, you know, and we share a common bond. go listen to a plethora of other podcasts. There shouldn't be this competition. The community is too small for that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one thing that always used to really bug me. And I think it bugs Nick too. And so Nick's like, we don't have any, like, we bring other shows in here to like play with us, and then they go try to emulate or do whatever, and they're open about it. But they're doing their own thing, and they have like their own direction. And I think, for anybody thinking about starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or something like that, how are you going to do it that's different than everybody else?
Yep. How are you going to distinguish yourself, differentiate, stand out, etc.? And that's true of anything you do, right?
And make it entertaining, right? I mean,
what are you going to do that makes it yours?
Yeah. I mean, it's I think that's the key. And if you're having fun, that fun comes through. Like it absolutely comes through, which is why I'm looking forward to like our next segments, because we spent so much time prepping for them. I think they're going to be really fun, and I'm curious to see what people's reactions are. But man, I had a great time. Now,
yeah, that's fantastic. Just some of the behind the scenes and production shots that
I was sending you
that you sent in while you were telling me about the trip. It sounded like just a great time.
It was. And there's no buts. Yes. And it is a long day of shooting.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
We got to the studio that they rent out, and they have like a deal on how they get the studio and blah, blah, blah. Because I've been curious about what would it take for us to like rent just some small space, and we could occupy that space with our stuff.
Yeah.
But we got there, I want to say about 9:30, if I'm remembering correctly. And we started playing. We got like everything set up and prepared. And I think we started playing around 10:30. We obviously broke for lunch. We finished up and went to dinner at 8:30.
Wow. So yeah.
It was a long day of Warhammer 40K.
With breaks, but that's almost a 12-hour game.
Yeah.
I guess 10 hours we started at 10:30, but
yeah, because you are playing your round.
Yeah.
The first thing we did was record kind of like the interview section where it's like, here's what I'm playing, and here's who I am, and here's what I'm hoping, and blah 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 blah. And then between each round we would then go over and talk about, okay, well, this happened, and I wasn't expecting this, or this went really well, and now if I can just capitalize on, here's what I'm thinking of doing next round, or what I'm concerned about.
The kind of in between round catch up and touch base.
Right. Then you go back to the table and you're playing again. Then it's back to the thing, then back, and then finally we finish the game. And then Nick would normally the next day film the armies, and he does like this really cool like job filming the armies with like little, humidifier, like steam machine, like smoke
got a little smoke machine.
And he films all that and sets them up in different ways to film it. That took another hour or so. Then we pack everything up, and by the time you're out of there, it's like, is anything open to go eat? Oh, this Brazilian barbecue place is open to go eat. Let's go there. And so Tack and Nick and I went there and ate. And but man, I'm really glad I got the experience to do that. I've told Nick I want to come back actually, and I want to bring my demons.
Nice, yeah.
Not just Thousand Sons and demons, but the other thing was nice is I got to talk a little bit about, I'm playing these Thousand Sons that are just beautifully painted. They were painted by Colin Ward, so I got to throw some
little community love out there for Colin.
And my demons here were painted by Dave Paints out in Europe, blah, 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 in UK. And, I'm in love with both these armies. And so I think next time I want to bring demons, I love showcasing like the Lords of Change and that kind of stuff. So
yeah. They're such a fun army to play too.
They are super fun. They're super fun to play. And I don't have to worry about what's the AP on. Yeah, I don't care. Thank you.
4 up all day.
Yeah. I will say, in playing the game, like I forgot some of my abilities sometimes, like things would happen and I'd be like, oh, I should have been re-rolling ones on that, or what have you. I did better than I've done before. I need more practice, obviously. But again, I was getting assistance from JT there helping me out. And, the Thousand Suns have a complex.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And from what I hear
orchestration you
competitively,
have
like
to do.
Magnus is really kind of a linchpin there.
Yeah, and I didn't want to
that
bring
unlocks
Magnus.
a lot of things, right? Which is that's such a huge investment in the army.
I did
just
bring
on
Araman, who I did not realize previously. He has a pretty amazing power that actually lets you pull any one of your Cabal powers once per game, regardless if you have points or not. He can just.
Oh yeah,
that came in clutch at one point.
Late game, especially as your other sorcerers are dying off, you can still bring in some big stuff.
The great one is you pick a model and you're like, that model does not get any saves.
Yeah, wow.
It's like, now light them up.
Yeah, shoot it up.
Yep.
How did you like the combination of the list? Thousand Suns and Demons.
Love it. Right. I love it.
Cool.
The pink horrors are fantastic objective holders.
Yeah.
There is a moment in the game when you go see it where I used a unit and kind of wasted their potential for a couple turns. And I was like, I really should have been doing something and I realized later, I'm like, I really should have been doing something else with these guys. This was stupid, but at the time it seemed like the right thing to do. So I'm not, listen,
hey, you learn from every game.
You learn from every game, but I think I learned a lot from that game.
Nice.
And especially thanks to JT, who was like throwing out some ideas and thoughts he had. And I was like, oh, geez, I never thought about those things working in combination. That's very cool. So, and he used, he used one phrase, which, again, people who are more competitive probably know this. But at one point he's like, you're trading, what was he saying? You're trading, like points, like army points for victory points, or you're trading command point for victory points at this point. So, think about how is this where you want to spend that command point, because you're trading it for literal victory points at this point, and that makes sense. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about it kind of in those terms, right? I always thought about it as very reactionary terms. I also realized I've been doing one thing particularly wrong, which is one of my abilities. I have to declare in the beginning of the phase, and then I can pick to do it at any time during that phase, but I have to declare early in the phase. And this is the ability for, it's a command point ability for Thousand Suns that allows them to reduce the damage value of a weapon to 0.
Damage, which is super powerful. But I have to say at the beginning of the phase, this round I'm using this ability, or this phase I'm using this ability, and do you have to declare what model is using it, or no? Oh, okay.
But at the beginning of the phase, I have to say I'm going to use that this round.
Okay.
So it can't be done in reaction to, I'm taking a lot of damage from this, I'll use it. You have to, it can, but you have to have anticipated that that's kind of coming. So,
right.
So I was doing that incorrectly. So it was a great learning experience. Those guys, and I mean, Josh, they're recording 3 to 4 games a week.
Yeah. Wow. And all that editing.
Oh my God. With editing taking 40 to 80 hours or something like that. I mean, the results are fantastic. I don't know anything I do for 40 to 80 hours.
Man, that's a week of work.
Mind you, that's also cumulative amongst multiple editors. Yeah. But I mean, you have to think of it in those hours. But
if they're doing 3 or 4 games a week, and that's it, it's work, but also a lot of fun. And clearly they're passionate and doing it well. So
they are. So.
Well, I'm super excited to see that game, but also to have them on the show, and someday hopefully I can make it up that way and check it out if nothing else.
Yeah, I think they'd love it. And quite frankly, what I want to do is I want to wait for the video to come out, and when it comes out close to our episode, that's the episode we will have. We'll have those guys on so that we're not. At that point, we can talk about the results of the game. And why things happened the way they happened, and what we did, and decisions that were made, but also
get some of your insights and things like that.
But also their insights into just how this works as a business. And, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to make money doing hobby stuff. Yeah, I mean, me too. But, the reality is there a lot of money to be made in it? Look at Mini Wargaming Dave has done okay for himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, for every one mini Wargaming Dave, how many thousands and thousands of players are there out there that everybody knows who Mini Wargaming Dave is because there's one Mini Wargaming Dave.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple people really doing something right and something special and can carry that momentum and build that community and audience. And
yeah, for sure. For sure.
And it takes work and passion.
It was a fantastic experience. I would absolutely do it again.
Nice.
You know, I think I would probably schedule one extra day so we weren't cramming everything into one day. The other thing they do, and I just want to point this out, you've been to my house. You know how I have like that rubberized mat in the kitchen that that I stand on, like by the sink and stuff. Mm-hmm. They have two of those, one on either side of the table, so that like that's your area that's captured by the camera. Yeah. So that you know, oh, I'm standing on this area, but also, man.
But also helps your feet hold out for a long day of gaming.
I think I might get a couple of those and put them on either side of my gaming table. Just, you know, if we're going to stand there, it really made a huge difference.
Yeah. So that's actually really smart, not only for the comfort aspect, but this is you're in frame on camera if you're in this box.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's smart on both levels. That's cool.
It was super cool. So great stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. I spent 2 nights, 3 days up there. And then came right home, and by up there, you know, in Canada, in British Columbia, Canada. So, just a great time. Didn't have a lot of time to look around. A few other people up there were like, "Hey, are you still in the area?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm sorry, I'm in and out." But next time,
you're busy playing Warhammer.
Next time, I'll spend a little bit more time there. So
nice. All right. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was great stuff. So, with that said, I think we should launch into the Grimdark Gauntlet.
The Grimdark Gauntlet.
Let's get our guests in here and let's put them through the ringer.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. Gentlemen, welcome to the Grimdark Gauntlet. In a universe teeming with endless war and boundless lore and intricate strategies, only the most dedicated emerge as true champions. Welcome to the ultimate test of Warhammer 40,000 knowledge and fandom. Here, contestants will face a gauntlet of rounds, each more challenging than the last, drawing from the grimdark vastness of the Warhammer 40,000 universe and in-depth discussions of the Independent Characters podcast. From the immaterial depths of the warp to the echoing voices of our beloved podcast hosts, myself and Josh, this game will probe the limits of your knowledge, dexterity, and passion. Only the truest fans stand a chance. So with all of that out of the way, let's begin with our introductions of our challengers. So challenger number 1, Dave Gormley, we have met several times at Adepticon. Why don't you give us a quick introduction of who you are, where you're calling in from, and how did you get into Warhammer 40,000?
All right, so yeah, I'm Dave. I go by Grinial Vex on all the internet things. You can find me in the Discord. I kind of live there. I am from the part of Chicago that's actually Indiana, and if you know what I'm talking about, find me so we could be friends, because I need local friends to play this game with. I got into Warhammer probably around 92-ish. I was a sophomore in high school in an art class, and I was already deep into D&D and just role-playing games in general. I'd already painted some minis, and the guy that sat next to me in class dropped the Realm of Chaos, the Lost and the Damned on the desk right in front of me and was like, dude, you got to look at this. Like, put away that D&D crap. This is it. And just flipping through the pages, like I was gone, like just part of the Lost and the Damned right then and there. And then I've been absolutely obsessed with Games Workshop and Warhammer ever since. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit into orcs, if I don't know if you could tell. I've been an orc guy forever. Like initially chaos, but then as soon as I found orcs, that was all bets were off.
I can tell by the axes behind you on the wall.
And so
He's
this
the
was
goth rocker.
my first codex right here, and I mean come on, this stuff is awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
All right, well, Dave,
Welcome, Dave.
your wits will be
Thank you.
challenged today. And now we're going to talk to our challenger number 2. Let's talk to John Paul Crouch. John, where are you hailing from, and how did you get into Warhammer 40,000?
So I'm from Little Old Wenatchee, Washington, up near Lake Chelan area, if anyone's ever heard about that.
No.
Only because I shipped a model to you like a year ago.
You did. That Repulsor Executioner has seen work. It's doing great.
Nice, awesome.
Warhammer has been kind of nebulously present throughout most of my life, but like I always thought it was weird when I was a younger kid, and I find that kind of funny that like orcs and space marines, that doesn't make sense. Fantasy, sci-fi, whatever. But what really got me into it was my previously science teacher in high school when I was in college showed me Astartes, and that was just like a mind explosion of like, I got to get into this. And I think his direct quote on that was, "Oh, I've created a monster, haven't I?" So since then, through college, I was buying some models and doing stuff. Started Ultramarines. I also picked up a pretty big army of Death Guard from someone from the ICs. And then I also have started on Votan as well.
Oh, wow. All right.
I love my little space dwarves.
All right. Fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah.
John, thanks for joining us. And last but not least, challenger number 3, Dustin.
Hey
Tell us
guys.
where you're calling from.
So I'm also from Indiana. I'm from South Bend. Nobody knows where that is until I say Notre Dame, and then people go, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that place." It's
Don't even know where Notre Dame is. So good.
good, perfect. I didn't actually know Warhammer 40,000 was a game until about 4 years ago.
Oh,
About 4.5 years ago. I thought they were books, and so in like 2005, 2006, I started reading the Ragnar series, like the Ragnar Omnibus, and I didn't have a store locally within 45 minutes of me that carried Warhammer stuff. I just didn't know it existed.
Yeah, interesting.
So to me, it was a book series that I really liked. Like, that, the Soul Drinker Omnibus, the Imperial Guard. Like, I just thought it was fun, big dudes shooting other big dudes and chaos and all that. And then it was a video game franchise, and I thought that was really cool. And then my buddy reached out to me again about 2019 and said, "Hey, did you know this was a game?" I said, "No." So we went to across state to Illinois to go to a Games Workshop store and did a demo game of 8th edition, and came home with a Space Wolves Codex, and then kept buying more and more and more forever.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, I was like, judging by the display cases behind you there, you've had a busy 5 years.
Right. That's right.
Space Wolves, Orcs, World Eaters, Chaos Knights.
Well, we will talk more after the game, but let's launch into game 1, the ork-tastic trivia takedown. Wah. Yes, wah indeed. Loyal subjects of the Emperor, Xenos allies, and faithful listeners from every corner of the galaxy, brace yourselves for the ultimate clash of wits and wisdom. Welcome to the ork-tastic trivia takedown. In this pulse-pounding round, our contestants will face 5 brutal trivia challenges, drawing from the sprawling tapestry of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. But that's not all. True mastery in this takedown requires not just an encyclopedic knowledge of the grimdark future, but also a keen ear attuned to the insightful musings and spirited debates of the Independent Characters podcast. Do you remember the episode where they dissected the tactics of the Tau Empire, or the deep dive into the treacherous politics of the Imperium? Well, you better. If you hope to emerge victorious today, contestants, steel yourselves, for the questions are going to be relentless, the lore vast, and the details devilishly tricky. 5 questions, 2 domains of knowledge, and 1 chance at glory in the ork-tastic trivia takedown. Without further ado, let's get this takedown started. For the Emperor, for the Wah, and for the love of trivia, are you ready?
Ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Your first question, and you will be given 30 seconds to write your answer down, and we will have you show your answers one at a time. But the hosts are going to ask you a series of 5 trivia questions. After each question, please write your answer down, and when you are instructed, hold it up to the camera for all to see. Each correct answer will gain you 5 points for a maximum of 25 points this round, though there are some secret bonus points. So here we go. The first question, not including tax and shipping, in US dollars, how much did Carl pay for his HMO Collectibles diorama of Gilliman versus the Chaos Space Marine? You now have 30 seconds to write your answer down. What do you think, Josh?
I think they're going to be way under.
I will also throw this in here, which may change your answer. The person who gets closest to the answer will score 5 points.
Without going over.
Without going over.
Similar to Price is Right.
It does change things.
Yeah, I'm
Or
really
as
curious
orcs
to
call
see.
Or as orcs call it, the teeth is right.
How many teeth? And then you can do a teeth to dollars.
You can do a teeth to dollars conversion.
Yeah.
It's a 2-to-1 conversion. Dave knew that, though.
Dave already knew, yeah. If Dave's answer's not in teeth, I'm disappointed in him.
Yeah. Josh, you will do the second question after we have resolved this.
Fantastic.
Looking like all of our contestants are ready. All right. Dave Gormley, answering the question, how much in US dollars did Carl pay for his HMO Collectibles Gilliman versus the Chaos Space Marine? What is your answer? Evan Carl's. Dave Gormley.
I did make a better one though. So
1,800 teeth.
Is that with the conversion, or is that
that's teeth dollars? Same thing.
Dollars. All right.
1 for 1. Okay.
$1,800, he says.
I believe the numerical value of a Carl was equated to $500.
Yes, it was. At one time.
At one time.
That was
no longer
pandemic.
Yes.
And when I had a job. Now that I have a job, one Carl's much easier. Or now I don't have a job. One Carl's
much easier to come by.
Yeah. John Paul, what is your answer?
I remember the topic of conversation, but I could not remember the number, but I want to say $275.
An interesting answer. John Paul,
Question.
$275. His answer poses a question, so I don't think Dustin, what do you think that HMO collectible statue cost me?
I think it was it's $499.99.
$499.99. He did follow the Price is Right dollar convention there, Josh. Josh, as you know and I know, the actual answer is $1,098, which makes Dustin our 5-point winner there.
Dustin takes a commanding 5-point lead. Had Dave done a 2-for-1 teeth conversion,
he'd have been good.
Right on the
Conversion rates are
why I asked
crazy.
for clarification.
I had not purchased the model, the diorama, which is quite large, by the way. I had not purchased it, and then it was sold out, and I had sworn that if I'd had the chance again, I would buy it. And somebody messaged me and said one just came up available for sale. That was the cost of that model. And I'm still wondering why I did it.
I would have done the same.
Josh, are you ready for question number
Contestants, Are you ready for question 2? Writing implements at the ready?
Ready.
Paper ready to be scribbled upon? Okay. Question 2. The stories of Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn are written by one of our favorite Black Library authors, Dan Abnett. Eisenhorn's most famous investigation was the pursuit and elimination of the heroic Inquisitor Coaxus. I don't know how to
Heretic,
pronounce it.
not heroic.
Heretic, yes, of course. I know that from playing Inquisitor. During the investigation, there is a disaster that takes place during the parade on the Thracian Primus Triumph. During this atrocity, Eisenhorn's interrogator is horrifically injured and nearly killed. What is the full name, first and last, of that interrogator?
We will give you 30 seconds to write that name down. This, by the way, one of Shell's favorite novels from 40K, I think. I think she quite enjoyed it. And in fact, it was one of the first novels
right under the... What are the...
I think it was
Night Lords?
Yeah, she loves the Night Lords. I think that's her favorite. But the Eisenhorn, and I remember her, Dan will write stuff into it. Like he'll be like, oh, he used the Vox. And Shell would be like, what's a Vox? I'm like, keep reading. And
Yep.
go, oh, it answers it right here. Like he sometimes...
He just made up that word and now it's in all the lore.
That is a lexicon word now.
It is fantastic. Yeah.
I see.
I should have started Eisenhorn last month.
You should have started it years ago, my friend. That is a fantastic series.
I went for the other Dan Abnett series. I went for Gaunt's Ghost.
Oh, you know what? Yeah,
It's hard to go wrong
for a long time, and that is a good.
I just listened to the 40K Badcast, and they talked about this. I haven't read it, and I am kicking myself. I mean, I'm very confident.
Okay, well, we will see. You know what?
I'm confident like a grot going into the worky bits right now.
Oh,
but I have read it, and my son has read it, and I think I read it a second time, and I think he's read it like 2 or 3 times.
Well, you should know then. And if everybody has their answer down, let's begin. Well, this time we'll start with our leader, Dustin. Dustin, tell us who you think the interrogator of Gregor Eisenhorn that was horribly injured. What is his first and last name?
Obviously, it was Danforth Saxby II. That
hurts. That hurts. Dustin may have a tie by the end of this. Let's go to John next. John, you are incorrect, Dustin. If you didn't,
okay, sure. No, I picked that up.
Oh, I've just got interrogator down because that's all I know about his name.
Oof.
But we told you it was an interrogator. All right. You know what? Lucky I don't take points away from you. John. Dave, this is your moment to shine. You've read it.
All right.
Save us.
Is that it?
Gideon Ravener is correct.
All right.
It is
5 points.
5 big points for
In
Dave.
hindsight, that's actually very obvious.
Yes, interrogator Gideon Ravener, a incredibly powerful fighter, is injured.
For the first 10 seconds, I just kept thinking it's the guy that's an egg, and I couldn't write that down.
and after this, he is then kind of entombed within a floating mobile coffin where he can then take control of his various acolytes. So yeah, fantastic.
Dustin mentioning Ravener out the gates there. I was like, oh, he's got this question in the bag.
Man.
I knew about Ravener. I didn't know he was an acolyte.
One of my favorite series. All right, we are currently we have Dave and Dustin.
Dave and Dustin sitting at 5 points a pop.
So let's go into our third question. Are you gentlemen ready? I hesitate to use the word gentlemen, but are you guys ready?
Yeah,
ready.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. During the Great Crusade, there was a vast orc horde which came close to defeating the legions of Horus, Rogaldorn, and Mortarion during the Battle of Gyros Thravian. The orcs would have been successful had it not been for the direct intervention of the Emperor and his Custodes Guard. Gyros Thravian was an orc stronghold planet and home to what massive black-skinned orc warlord? No, this is one of the most challenging questions we have.
30 seconds on the clock. Dave only gets 10
Kill
seconds.
me, Carl.
Because he's half orc.
The interesting thing here, Josh, that in researching some of this, I guess I didn't realize, or maybe I'd forgotten, and Dave is going to know this, is that as orcs are effectively immortal, and as they get older, their skin gets darker. So if this guy was black skinned, he'd been around a long time.
He'd already been around a good while, and this was 10,000 years ago. So if he's still alive today, he's the biggest.
I'll give you a hint. He's not. He's not. He is not.
That is a clue in and of itself.
That is true.
Oh,
That's the sound of exasperation right there.
We see the sweat and the perspiration as the cogitators are running on all pistons.
Smoke coming out of the ears. All right. I think that's about long enough. Gentlemen, are you prepared with your answers? We will first start with our local and remote orc expert, Dave. What have you answered?
I answered Dustin.
Oh no. Okay.
I haven't read those books at all. I have no idea.
Well, here's another piece of trivia. It's not in any of the Horus Heresy books. It's from the Visions of Heresy series, which is a big print book. So John,
this is a deep cut.
Yeah, this is a super deep cut. If somebody gets,
I figured I should come up with an orc name just to throw a Hail Mary. So I'm gonna go Warboss Teeth Grabba.
So close,
but also so far.
That is a solid name for a Bad Moon war boss.
That is true. That is true. And Dustin, what do you have for an answer?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I could not even speeding myself up.
Well, you know what? I'm going to torture you guys and not tell you the answer.
No.
The actual answer is Garkul Blackfang. And he was a massive orc, which ultimately he was beheaded in battle. So, all right. Question 4. Josh, I'm going to do this one because I really like this question. And then what we will do is you will roll in with the last one.
I was looking forward to talking about myself in the third person here, but
yeah,
you know what? It's yours.
All right, here we go. Josh plays a faction of Space Marines he lovingly calls the Sharkadons. This force actually goes by 3 different names, with one of the original being the Space Sharks. What is one of the 2 other names this Space Marine chapter goes by? You only have to give us one of them.
Do I have to spell it correctly?
It does not have to be spelled correctly.
As long as it's recognizable.
As long as it's recognizable.
We'll give you a point.
Fair enough. Yeah, and that was actually something I thought about originally, Josh, was will they have to spell it correctly? And I thought, we're mean, but we're not that mean.
Avery contacted me earlier about Legio's Astobiex, which is the Adeptus Titanicus Legion.
I don't even know how you say it.
And he's like, I have no idea if this was spelled correctly. It was like part of his inquiry because a friend is looking to get into it. But he actually spelled it correctly, which is another hard guess on. It starts with an X. Good luck.
Is that, what is the name of the Legion that Josh? Yeah. It must be spelled correctly.
That's question 5. So,
I already jumped ahead. All right, you gentlemen look like you're ready, so I think we can go ahead and go. We will start this time with John. Let's start with John, our player who is in last place. John, what is your?
So I'm going to go with Carcharodons.
That is correct. 5 points for John.
That is correct.
Dustin.
Also, Charcharodons.
All right.
Perfect.
5 points. So that brings Dustin to 10 points with John at 5. And what has Dave wrought?
Baby sharks, aka Carcharodons. Nicely done, gentlemen.
Everybody.
The direct translation.
Everybody gets points that round, bringing Dave and Dustin to 10 points with John at 5. Still anybody's game.
Still anyone's game.
Interestingly enough, they are the Carcharodons, or in High Gothic, the Carcharodons Astra.
Didn't
You
know
would have
that second one.
accepted both.
Sharks of the
I was
space.
thinking about that, but I couldn't remember if it was Astra Carcharodons or that.
You know what? If you'd said Astra Carcharodons, I would have given it to you.
I would
Aw.
Would not have. Is that
I would not have. That is incorrect.
all right? Are we
Fun tidbit of lore is that the Carcharodons take themselves very seriously and actually only speak in High Gothic within their own chapters. So to themselves, they are the Carcharodons Astra.
I did not know this. All right. Well, that's good to know. Josh, are you ready to provide our contestants with their final question in the ork-tastic trivia takedown?
Absolutely. Players ready? Pens at the ready?
Here we go.
Pretty.
All right. The Primaris Space Marines have more implants than their firstborn brothers. For 5 points, how many implants does a Primaris Space Marine have in total? You will also get 1 additional point for each differentiating implant you can actually name.
So 5 points, and then if you can name each of the differentiating implants, you will get a point for each one you can name.
Yeah. So 5 points for the number of implants, bonus points for the names of the additional Primaris implants.
That's right. Give you 30 seconds on this one. This was, again, Josh and I came across this information at about the same time. Luckily, Josh was recently reading his Space Marine Codex. Put that down, Dave.
No study aids.
I didn't even know. I couldn't have even told you prior to this how many firstborn Space Marine had off the top of my head. I knew they had a bunch.
Yeah. It had been a while since I read that. Had I not recently refreshed in the Space Marine Codex?
They all sounded hokey to me. I'm not so sure about the pseudoscience of Warhammer 40.
That's very technical.
Dustin, it sounded like you had a question.
Yeah, sorry. Is it total implants including the old implants?
Total implants, including the old implants.
Okay. That's what I thought, and then I
Nope, that's a fine clarifying question. Give us
Yes.
the total number of implants a Primaris Space Marine has.
Right. Dave looks confidently ready.
I think
Yeah,
Dave's getting a number
I'm
there.
as ready as I'm ever gonna be.
He's got a spoof answer and a very serious answer. Oh, and I can tell. I like the cut of his jib.
One of those is correct.
All right. I think we're coming up just about on the time. And gentlemen, let's start with Dave. Dave, I'm dying to know what your answer here is.
All right, so I guess 26. I have no clue. I'm guessing they get an extra tooth, some wet gubbins, and a squig brain.
Well, I will tell you right now, none of those answers is correct. Formally. Not one of them.
But you'll get a bonus 0 points for creativity.
Yeah.
Right.
Don Paul, what you got?
So my guess total is 27 organs. From what I remember, I think they have like titanium bones. I know they have a Belisarian furnace.
Okay.
And then I think they have something like metal wires in their muscles to help with tension or something.
Okay.
Those were the only 3
What was
specific
the name given of the wires?
I
Did you
can't
just put
remember.
metal? Oh, okay.
I can't remember
What is
that.
your-
I said they have 8 implants.
Okay.
They have the Belisarian furnace, leg lengtheners, and a killer smile.
All right. First off, I don't want you doing surgery on me when I become a super.
You're going to get
Correct.
extra teeth, making a beautiful smile and longer legs.
The correct answer is 22, which is 3 more than a regular Space Marine, or a firstborn Space Marine, as I should say. Now, interestingly enough, 2 of you,
We do have some
lit
bonuses here.
the
Yeah.
Belisarian furnace as one of the implants, and that is a correct bonus point for John and Dustin.
Yep.
So that's going to bring John to 6 points and Dustin to 11 points.
Hey,
Edges out Dave. However,
that just means we
think-
don't have to drive to Michigan City and fist fight to
I
break
think-
the tie.
That's our middle
the
point.
tiebreaker. However, John, you were so close because what you were trying to say was the sinew coils.
Yep.
You were so close, though. You are right. That is what they do. And the other one is the Magnificat, which I think is actually a thing between the heart chambers that allows them to utilize the full ability of their dual hearts or something. Who knows? Who knows? It's all crazy talk. Well done. As we enter the second round, so we have just completed the ork-tastic trivia takedown. We are sitting, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave is at 10 points.
Dave at 10 points.
Dustin, our leader, is at 11 points.
Dustin with a narrow lead of 11.
And John pulling up the rear at 6.
That's correct.
All right. Well, gentlemen, you have done better than I would have in our first round, but our second round is really going to separate the orc from the grot, if you will. Game 2 is called the lineup, and each round is worth, well, we'll get to that. But initially, these first 2 rounds of it are worth 10 points. We will play 3 rounds. The third round has some extra points involved. We will start. Loyalists and heretics, welcome to the round that celebrates not just the might and lore of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, but also the craft, artistry, and resonating voices from the sanctums of the Independent Characters podcast. In this corner of the galaxy, we don't just value brute force or raw knowledge. No, here, precision is paramount. Whether it's the delicate touch needed to highlight a Space Marine's power armor or the intricate shadowing of an Eldar's face. But that's not all. To triumph in this round, contestants must also be attuned to the discussions, the debates, and the delightful digressions of our beloved hosts from the Independent Characters podcast. Only those who have truly listened, who have gleaned insights from their discussions, will stand a chance. So, do you have a steady hand of a master painter, the analytical mind to dissect every word of our esteemed podcasters? This round is the true connoisseurs of both craft and conversation. Prepare to dive deep into the details, for in this realm, attention to the minutia and a bond with the Independent Characters is the only path to glory. Let the detailed duel of the lineup commence. You are going to be shown 3 different pictures of 5 models. The task is simple. Pick the model that was painted by a cast member of the Independent Characters. When you have decided what your answer is, write it down. And when directed, show your answer to the camera. A correct answer will net you 10 points for that round. But in the third round, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to show you 40K models, all painted by the various hosts of the Independent Characters. And if you can name who painted each model, you will gain 25 points for that round.
Or 5 points per correct answer.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right. That may seem a little confusing. It is not as confusing as the discussion makes it sound. Let me begin with our first selection. Number 1 is an orc wielding, what kind of axe is that, Dave?
That's a big chopper.
That's a big chopper.
Yeah. Looks like he's got a grot on his back with a stubber there.
It's big shooter.
Big shooter. Number 2, a salamander. Number 3, an exalted sorcerer from the Thousand Suns. Number 4, what's number 4 there, Josh?
That is a Legion of the Damned.
Legion of the Damned, Space Marine.
Space Marine.
And number 5, a Black Legion Chaos Space Marine. Which of these models was painted by a member of the Independent Characters podcast? Write down your answers. 1, the orc. 2, the salamander. 3, the Thousand Suns exalted sorcerer. 4, the Legion of the Damned Space Marine. Or 5, the Black Legion Chaos Space Marine. Gentlemen, do you have your answers ready?
And this, just for a further point of clarification, is any of the regular hosts, past, present, or future. Not
Yep.
future, but
Yeah. If you can name it in the future, I will give you an additional
bonus points. We'll figure it out later. You tell us how many points because you can see the future.
All right. Who should we start with here, Josh?
Oh, let's give John Paul a chance to catch up here.
So I'm gonna say number 5 was painted by an IC's member, and I think it was painted by you, Carl.
Oh, interesting guess. All right.
I've never seen anyone's models from the ICs, I don't think, but I'm
We will
trying
not
to
give
guess
the answer until we are done. Interesting assumption. Dustin?
I also said number 5, Carl.
So said number 5, Carl. Dave Gormley.
So was I supposed to write a name down?
You can write. No, you can just write.
Not required for this round.
You don't even
all
need
right.
the name.
I thought maybe I was missing something. I went number 3. But I'm thinking that is part of Carl's Thousand Sons army.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that too, but I think that was Colin Ward that painted that.
Dustin, you are correct. It was Colin Ward that painted that. That was not painted by a host of the Independent.
That was a ringer.
Oh, well done. Unfortunately, none of you are correct. None of you are correct. Number 4, the Legion of Damned Space Marines, was painted by myself and used with my Ultramarines army for quite some time. I even wrote a tutorial on how to paint flames for that.
See, I couldn't remember ever hearing about a Legion of the Damned model on the show, and
It's
I totally forgot Carl doesn't paint his own models anymore.
You will be surprised.
Till the future.
Yeah, Dave, keep that thought in your head. Let's see how many points you're about to lose.
I was trying to
-5
fish
for
for gold
insulting
Sharpie trim.
That one does harken back to days of yore for sure, when
That-
Carl was playing Ultramarines regularly, and
That is
Legion
true.
of the Dam was
and I loved them.
regular occurrence.
You know what I loved about them was they eliminated cover bonuses with their weapons. Oh, it was so good.
Especially in 5th edition when cover was everything.
Oh, I loved that unit. I'd arm them with a plasma cannon. I had that sergeant that you just saw there had a plasma pistol. It was awesome. It was awesome. All right. Well, that's okay. That's all right, Joe. You've got a chance to redeem yourself. Here comes the second round of the lineup. Again, all you have to do is pick one of the numbers. You don't even have to say who painted it. If you do, I'm impressed. But here we go. Number 2. So we have number 1, which is actually, Josh, why don't you go through this?
Number 1, we've got a Space Marine wielding a flamer and a bolt pistol. Number 2, we have an Eversor assassin. Number 3 is a Calidus assassin. Number 4 is, I'm not sure, model and Terminator armor. Looks like Iron Hands.
The Iron Hands
Warrior.
Yeah, or excuse me, Iron Warrior.
Iron Warrior, yes. Iron Warrior Terminator. And number 5 is a Harlequin.
What an interesting, what a conundrum. Yeah, there it is. That heavy, exasperated sigh again. That's the one I like. If you guys need the picture again, just let me know. But yeah, is it number 1, the Space Marine? Number 2, the Eversor assassin? Number 3, the
Calidus.
Calidus. I always want to say Calidus. Calidus.
It could be.
Number 4, the Iron Warriors Terminator, or number 5, the Harlequin.
I will go on the record in saying that I am the worst at pronouncing made-up words.
You are. I can confirm. Right behind me. All right, gentlemen. This time let's start with Dave. Dave, which one have you selected to be that you say is painted by a member of the independent characters?
Number 2, the Eversor assassin.
Eversor assassin. Okay. All right.
And just a hunch based on the basing of it, and just because you guys are throwing in some like heavy metal box art stuff in here, and I can see those because I'm very familiar with those. But I was debating between 1 and 2, and 2 is my guess.
All right. 2 is your guess. John Paul, what is your guess?
I also went with number 2.
All right. The Kalidas assassin, or no,
Eversword.
Eversword.
Number 2.
All right. And Dustin, what is your guess?
I went with number 4. That looks like a competition piece for a certain somebody who taught some painting classes.
Interesting. All right. Number 4 looks like a competition for somebody. All right. Let's take a look. I just want to take another look. Oh, number 4 kind of does look like a competition piece.
We do have a couple talented painters painting Iron Warriors.
Gentlemen, the correct answer is number 2.
Oh,
All right.
The Eversword assassin, painted by Josh, none other than Josh Sawyer. So 2 of you got
infamously featured in my contrast video that I put out. Oh, I don't know when that was. When Contrast Paint's first release, which was 5 or 6 years ago at this point.
Yeah, that was quite the video. You should attach that video to the end of this on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll continue.
So that, by my computation, that brings
we have a new leader.
15 points. Dave is in the lead. Dustin and John are now tied at 11.
This is anybody's game.
Oh man!
Wow. All right.
Think long, think wrong.
All right. Now, again, the third round here is a little bit different. You are going to get 5 points. All of these models have been painted by a host of the independent characters. You will get 5 points for each one that you can assign a name to. All right. And
so, this is correctly identifying who painted which of the models, and they'll still be numbered 1 through 5.
Yep. And you just you put a name. You don't have to do a last name, just the first name. You don't even have to spell the first name right. I can't spell Josh.
All right.
He can't even call me Josh. It's always Jody.
I usually call him Jody. Listen, when you have Josh, Jody, and Justin, you guys keep it straight. So, with no further ado, and we'll give you a little bit of time to look at this one. You guys can think about this as we discuss it. But here we go. Number 1, it's like a Iron Warriors Chaos Space Marine. Number 2, that's a Dalak Necromunda gang member. Number 3 is a Grey Knight Terminator. Number 4 is an Ambot from
Necromunda.
Oh, I was drawing a blank there. Number 5 is Typhus of the Death Guard, the original Typhus model, I might add. So number 1, Chaos Space Marine, Iron Warrior. Number 2, Dalak gang member. Number 3, Grey Knight Terminator. Number 4, Ambot from Necromunda. Number 5, the original Typhus.
Original flavored plague.
All right. Well, Josh,
well, I know all of these. So
I know these. I know these as well.
This is going to be an interesting round. This could really shake up the score here, depending how things go.
I'm actually, as we were creating the games and such, I was, we were both concerned. Well, are they going to be hard enough? Are they too easy? Are they too hard? It's a little tricky picking out exactly what to do. But this is
striking that balance.
This is a good tiebreaker here, I think. But each round gets worth more points, so who knows? Who knows where we're going to wind up? All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. All right, gentlemen. Dustin still looks like he's writing. This is a little longer one, so I'll give a few more seconds if you need it, Dustin.
I'm set now.
You're prepared? Oh, you think so? All right.
I'm ready to be wrong.
Dustin, let's have you go first, and you tell us did number 1, the Chaos Space Marine.
Number 1, I think, was Jody.
Okay. Number 2?
Number 2, I believe, was Adon.
So you're saying number 2, Adon painted the
Lock Gang
member. Okay.
It was a shot in the dark, but I know he doesn't famously like to paint, but I felt good about it.
Okay.
However that feels.
Okay.
Number 3, I think it was you, Carl.
Okay.
Was the Grey Knight.
Okay.
Number 4, I think, was Josh.
Okay.
And I think number 5 was Justin.
Okay. Good guessing all around, Dustin. We'll give you your points at the end there. John, let's go to you.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea who did number 1.
Okay, fair enough.
I was trying really hard to
Listen. Nobody's going to take any.
Played Iron Warriors.
So don't worry about apology.
Right?
Could not remember. 2, I think, was Josh.
Okay.
Just because you guys did that House to Lock episode not that long ago.
He did not.
Yeah.
Number
3, I think, might be Jody, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I want to say 4 is Justin and 5 is you, Carl.
Okay.
Because I remember you talking about how much you liked the old metal typhus.
Okay. And now we go to Dave. Dave, what is your guess?
All right. So number 1, I picked Justin just because the only person that I know that does Iron Warriors is my kid, and he's never been a host. And I needed a name, and there you go.
It's a good guess.
So number 2, Josh. Again, you guys just did a Necromunda series on House to Lock, and it was awesome. 3,
Thanks,
I went with
buddy.
a Don. Was really struggling to remember anybody doing Grey Knights anything, and I feel like, man, I probably should have listened to like 60 hours of backlog before this.
Nobody could have known what you were watching,
right?
So number 4, Josh, because he's the only person I can remember playing Necromunda.
Okay.
And 5 is Carl. I know that's Carl's.
Okay.
So there we go.
Let's go down the list. Josh, why don't you tell?
All right, lucky contestants. Number 1 was Jody. This is Iron Warriors from Jody's kill team that is now being expanded into a full 40k army. Number 2 is the ringer here, is actually Justin's. This is Justin's from about 5 years ago when we were launching our first kind of big group under Hive campaign, a Dominion campaign, and Justin painted up a Deluxe gang just for that campaign.
Justin,
that was cunning.
Are both Deluxe players. So yeah.
Number 3 is Aaron, who the only other real Grey Knights player, in addition to Adon. Adon was a great guess.
Adon was a good guess. Yeah.
And Adon's gonna love that number 2 got called out as a paint job for him. So number 4.
I might also add, not only does Adon hate painting, Adon hates Necromunda. That's definitely not Adon.
Dave, you were correct with number 4. That is in fact mine, my Ambot, one of the several Ambots that I have here, contributed by myself. And number 5 is in fact Mr. Tuttle himself, Carl Typhus. Did not just find a Scythe, he had it all along.
That's right. Good, and a good callback. That's exactly what I thought people would think. Is I talk about this guy all the time. It's one of my favorite models ever. It's a fantastic model. So by my calculation, that round, Dave pulled in 10 points. He got 2 correct.
Dave. Oh, you're talking total, not
just for that
the
round.
lineup total. Yes.
Yeah, the lineup. No. Yes, correct. Dustin got 10 points for that, just for that section.
Correct.
And John got 5 points for that slide, bringing their totals, I might say, to Dave has now 25 points.
25 points.
Dustin has 21.
Shortly behind.
And John has 16. John, I promise you are not out of this.
Very close.
We're playing with golf
anyone's
rules, right?
game. Yeah.
The points keep going up. But with that, we're going to take a short break before we come back for round 2 of the Grimdark Gauntlet. And we're back. We're back with the Grimdark Gauntlet, and we're going into round 3. This one, gentlemen, is called Hobby Fanatic. Warriors of the Imperium, Xenos intruders, and heretics alike, brace yourselves for a challenge that will separate the casual hobbyist from the true devotee of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. A test so specific, only those who have delved deep into the lore, meticulously painted every minute detail of their miniatures, and strategized with the fury of a Primarch will emerge victorious. This round is not just about knowledge. It's about passion, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to the Warhammer 40,000 hobby. Do you possess the tools of a master craftsman, the libraries of forbidden lore, and the tenacity of a Catachan jungle fighter? Only the truest fans, those who have dedicated countless hours to the assembling armies, perfecting paint jobs, and immersing themselves in the vast Grimdark lore, will have what it takes to conquer this round. Prepare to prove your devotion, champions. In this round, your medal as a Warhammer 40,000 aficionado will be put to the ultimate test. Let the challenge begin. This section is called Hobby Fanatic. Josh, why don't you take this away?
Yeah. So this round's a little different, and this one has a time component to it. So this will be the first one to present what we are asking for, will score the points. There are going to be 3 rounds here. Each round is going to be worth a total of 5 points. First item we're looking for, and this is, you're going to show us
15,
on camera.
15 points.
15 points.
15 points. Yeah.
Each round, 15 points. So there's definitely a good comeback built in here. This is something you're actually going to physically present on camera. And the first thing that we are looking for is a bottle of Nolan oil or Bad Ab Black. Go.
First one to show us on camera. Oh, it's John. It's John.
John, the comeback king.
By a moment.
Oh, I love
Good job,
working in
John.
a studio apartment.
Boy,
Wow.
I thought Dustin with his paint booth right behind him there. And
Dave was
My
so
desk is my
close.
paint desk.
Oh.
I almost grabbed my Seraphim Sepia instead. That's what did me in.
All right.
Nicely done.
That's incredible.
All 3 of you having that is
It's
great
amazing.
there.
Yeah.
I should move my bag closer to me.
So we have wow. You know what? John has taken the lead with
That's
31
that's
points.
a game changer right there.
Oh, wow.
Dave's at 25. Dustin's at 21. John at 31.
Oh, please ask for a primed model next.
Oh, it wouldn't be that easy. You know what? You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see any Games Workshop model that is still in its shrink wrap.
Oh,
Dave
points to
Gormley. Dave Gormley, I think, took it.
with a quick,
I saw Dave
a
reach.
close second on Dustin.
I have so many around. I just had to pick one of them.
Dave is now.
Dave showing us the Warhammer Plus exclusive. That was the
Chaos
World Eaters
Chaos.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Terminator. Yeah,
Nice.
well done.
Excellent
well
choice.
done. Well done. That's going to bump Dave up to 40 points. So now it's Dave.
I'm only giving Dave half points because it's not an orc.
No.
Which
was his
I could go
original.
grab one.
Chaos was his original true love. If you
That's
didn't.
fair. That's fair.
So Dave is currently at 40.
I already wrote down full points.
Dustin's at 21. And John is at 31.
Tight game. Tight game.
Take it away, Josh.
Number 3. We are looking for any Black Library book, 40K specific.
Oh God.
Oh,
Dave by a long shot and a good
and
call
it's our
back to
favorite
Eisenhorn.
author.
Yup. I just dropped half a bookshelf on the floor grabbing that too. So
Well, you got the points for it, so it was well fought for.
Wow. That is a huge game changer. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
a huge game changer. Dave sitting at 55 points, hugely in the lead here, to Dustin's 21, to John's 31.
I'm just glad Dustin's in last place.
I didn't know I had to sprint over into my hobby room. God.
Who was it that's in the studio apartment?
I am.
Oh,
John.
yeah, there you go, John. Yeah.
John
I
Paul,
only
everything
have-
close by.
Everything
Most of
in
my
reach.
books are audiobooks, so
Yeah. I do a lot of audiobooks now too. And listen, if I had to run and go get any of this stuff, I'd be in trouble too. So because I had to run all the way.
As we're setting this up, I
Killing me.
actually have made my own wash for the last like 10 years in a row. So I don't own a pot of Nuln Oil or Bad Ab Black. And so I would fail that one. All my books are either audio or Kindle these days.
Yep.
My hard copies are in the garage somewhere.
I still have a
out
ton
most
of
those. Yeah.
I do like that Dave also came back with Eisenhorn,
Yeah.
which is the one we were talking about
The full
before.
combo. Dan Amnett,
omnibus.
Eisenhorn, and he got the name right.
Yeah.
I also came with Eisenhorn and couldn't also remember the name. So
Ah,
it's real cool.
you need to read it again.
I brought an Ultramarine book.
Well done, gentlemen.
Fitting.
Well done. Well done. We're not going to make you get up and run anymore. But
Okay.
now, ladies and gentlemen, and beings of the cosmos, gather round as we traverse time, space, and reality to bring you a contest of such epic proportions it once dictated the fate of entire galaxies. Deep in the forgotten tombs of the ancient Necron dynasties, an enigmatic game was devised. A game of logic, strategy, and unmatched cunning. The stories whisper of an age where the Necron lords, in their quest for supremacy, would pit their intellects against one another. These clashes, played in the binary language of ones and zeros, would determine the ruler of a dynasty, shaping the fate of entire star systems. Their decision matrix so complex, it took millennia for humans to even grasp a fraction of its intricacy. But fear not, for we have bridged the chasm of understanding. With the aid of the revered Adeptus Mechanicus Cogitator, we have decoded and translated this archaic contest into a format relatable to all. Tonight, you will bear witness to a reimagining of this grand game. Contestants will step into the shoes of Necron overlords, battling for supremacy just as the ancients once did. Prepare yourselves for a test of wit, strategy, and destiny. For today, history and fantasy meld in a showdown of cosmic proportions. Welcome to Decrypt the Dynasty. So, this game, here is how this game works. We have presented to you the Dynasty board. Underneath this board is a famous or infamous quote from Warhammer 40,000 lore. Beginning with the player who is currently in last place. Sorry, Dustin. You will pick a letter to be revealed from the board. We will then uncover all the instances of that letter on the board. You can then try to guess what the quote is. The first one to get the quote correct wins 25 points. However, if you guess incorrectly, you will lose 5 points for each incorrect guess. You can only guess what the phrase is on your turn. So pick your letters carefully. There is a strategy here to consider. All right. You can pick any letter. We will unveil all of that letter that appears on the board. And then you can make a guess as to what you think the phrase is. Or you can choose to forego your guess if you do not know at that point.
And with our point spread here, you are all in the running.
Yeah. And Dave can even guess wrong a couple times at this point.
I probably will.
So we're going to go in this order. We're going to go Dustin, John, and then Dave. And then it'll again go Dustin, John, Dave until somebody guesses correctly. So starting with Dustin, what letter would you like? What letter do you think the Necrons would have used?
The letter K. They use the letter K in like everything, I swear.
Okay, so you would like a K, as in kilo.
Kilo.
All right. There are no Ks.
No Ks.
This is not a Necron quote.
That's a fair assumption.
Well, I will not be guessing this turn.
All right. So
Oh, come on.
John,
I think I'm going to start with a vowel. Do we got any E's in here?
any E's? Well, you know what we do? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 E's in this.
Are you ready to solve?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either at this point. Dave.
S for squig.
S for squig. An excellent choice, my friend. Well, let's see what that unveils. Oh, 3 S's.
Provocative.
Yeah. Daring, if I do say.
Dave,
I'm
with
not
your
gonna
commanding
guess.
points lead. Okay. Not willing to risk it yet.
All right, Dustin.
Let's go with N.
In as in Necron.
Necron.
Yeah, you almost said Nancy. But we'll go in as in Necron. And there is one in. One in. I don't know that clears up much.
Not much at all. I will pass.
All right, John.
How many eyes do we have in here?
Ooh, a good eye. Now, bear in mind, you're uncovering this for your potential next person, but let's take a look. Oh, there are 3 eyes.
3 eyes.
And one word unveiled is. One word is unveiled. And that word is.
No clue.
No guess. All right.
No guess.
Dave Gormley. This is a critical. I think this is a critical turn, Josh. What do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
We're gonna go W for War Boss.
Oh, an excellent and flavorful choice. Boom. There are
Yeah, I didn't think
no
so.
W.
I think Dave strategically chose a W, knowing that there were going to be none present, saving his commanding lead.
Yeah.
For
I
when
mean,
more
I might
letters
have a
been
cunning
unveiled.
plan here.
He might.
Cunning and brutal.
But what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Dustin, and this may open the door for Dustin to kind of take it.
Why not? Let's do N. Wait, no, we already did N. Hang on. Let's do T for Thompson.
T for Thompson. All right.
That's such a weird Necron name.
Yeah. Well,
Who's their first name?
Necron Thompsons. Let's see how many T's are unveiled. Oh, whoa, there's a lot there.
We do have
1,
several
2,
T's.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 T's in this quote. I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. Any guesses?
Nothing intelligible.
All right, moving on to John. John, what letter would you like? Can you hear Shell giggling?
Yeah. Oh. Do we have any F's in here?
F's as in Firebat?
Fort.
Yeah, F is in Firebat.
All
We'll go
right.
with that.
Oh, we do. We have one F.
Ooh.
Oh, what about that?
That feels important.
That does.
I have like a partial, but I don't think I have it.
Okay.
It's all or nothing for the point. So
Is your partial the word is?
Is to
all risk, all reward.
All right. All right. Should we move on? Are you passing?
I'm passing.
Dave, we're back to you. These Necrons were very.
We're gonna go O for Orcs.
O for Orcs. That's an interesting choice. Let's see what we got.
Really?
Oh, we have 2 O's. And you've uncovered a whole other word. We have is and two.
Two O's.
Yeah, still not super helpful. I'm gonna pass to Dustin.
All right, Dustin.
That's so surprising.
You guys are lucky we're not playing this in binary like the Necrons.
Yeah,
right.
we were gonna do it that way.
Binaric. Yeah.
Yeah, but we said, listen.
There's only 2 guesses. Second
Right.
person gets
Is
it.
there a 1? Is there a 0?
And the board was like 8,000 characters long.
Yeah. But deciphering what it means that's the hard part.
Let's go with H as hotel.
And H as in hotel. All right. H. Boom. 1, 2, 3 H's. Now, that has been a very interesting choice on Dustin's part, as that has uncovered some very interesting.
That feels pretty big to me.
That felt big to me.
It does, but I just do not. Nothing's coalescing.
All right.
I've gotten 2 words, but Isn't the. I got that.
Oh, you got
and two.
Locked in. Nope. I'm trying to hide that from my fellow contestants. They didn't see
Oh,
that.
sorry. Didn't mean to out your strategy. John, you are up.
Any? Oh no, I think I know this.
Oh, do you want to guess?
You
or do
can guess your
wanna
letter
pick
first.
a letter first and then guess.
I think I'm gonna go for a gamble. I'm a big gambler guy.
All right.
Is the quote "hatred is the emperor's greatest gift to humanity"?
You know what it is?
Oh,
It is.
no.
Great job.
Nicely done.
Great job. Well done. And there you have it.
Yeah, I had it too. Oh well. Good job, John.
Thank you.
Good
Dark
job,
Tide.
John. John, that's 25 points, which actually bumps you up to
Makes it
6 points.
56 to 55
You-
point victory.
You have beat Dave by 1 point. How does it feel to have won the first Grimdark Gauntlet, John?
I'm on the edge of my seat and my heart is racing.
Well, listen.
What do you want to tell the folks back home?
If you want to get really good at solving 40k Jeopardy quotes, play Dark Tide. They have a lot of those on the loading screens.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, listen, John, it's actually good that Dave didn't win because he already
is
one of the prizes here. And I'm going to give you a choice. You have a choice between these two prizes, which are, we'll go here. The World Eaters Terminator collectible marine, only available, by the way, through a subscription to Warhammer Plus, or the collectible Primaris Company Champion, which we will ship out to you. One of these
Conveniently painted as an ultramarine.
And notice, still in shrink wrap.
What's really funny is that I actually bought a company champion from a Don, and I actually have an Azrak, but I do have a friend that's going to get into World Eaters soon.
Well,
so
it sounds like
take the
perfect.
Azrak.
All right. Well, fine. We'll collect your shipping information after the show, John. But well played, sir. Well played. Well played by all of you. Actually,
congratulations. That was a close game, and we definitely had an interesting shakeup of points as we progressed through the rounds, and it was really anybody's game there.
John was kind of early, kind of dragging, but then came back mid game.
And everybody loves a good comeback story. The underdog king, John Paul.
Well done.
Well,
all right.
My only goal was to beat Dustin, so
you did. You did. Well done.
All it took was a physical challenge to run throughout my house. That's really what sunk me. I see. Right. I see. It's targeted.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and then we'll close out the show. Welcome back, and thank you so much for listening. And I hope you've watched actually on YouTube. As we said at the very beginning of the show, this is an episode that I think you're going to get the most from, especially the Dynasty part at the end there.
Yeah, that was a hard one to narrate.
That's a hard one to narrate. But boy, it's a lot of fun when you're watching it.
And what we're hoping is those of you that have played along, actually pause in between questions and like challenge yourself as well. So it's not just watching the contest, but you can actually participate in that aspect as well.
That's the whole point of, I think, game shows in general, is trying to pick what the people should have said, right? John, you're the victor. I'm going to give you kind of, what are your thoughts? I'm sure they're positive on the.
I was doing pretty bad at first, but it was still fun to participate.
Yeah. But it was more fun to win.
It is more fun to win. But no, this is great, and if I definitely had the opportunity, I would do this again.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? At some point, we're gonna have a contest of champions, Josh. If people enjoy this, we will do a contest of champions thing at the end there. So we're gonna add. I just thought of that. We're gonna add John's name,
and it only gets harder.
Oh.
Yeah. And I mean, again, we pulled our participants for this from our Patreon. If you're subscribing, at any level, it gives you access to our Discord. That's where we reach out to everybody and say, hey, who's interested in joining us. And we had several people that, we have actually, Josh, several people from the European area that wanted to participate, but the time wasn't right. So we will set a time where we can do like a European version
Yeah, we'll make ourselves available.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But man, I was surprised at how many people really wanted to be involved in it. So I'm really happy you guys joined us, especially you three. You three are, just a fantastic group of people. You're very active on the Discord channel all the time, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate
As soon as I saw who we had, I was like, oh yeah, Dave was super fun to meet at Adepticon earlier this year.
Yeah.
Dustin, I believe you're in every single Discord group that I'm also in.
Yeah.
A lot of crossover there. And
yeah.
John, I shipped you a model and
The
you're
Pope.
part of our community,
Yeah.
the Pope.
So
fitting.
Dave, what are your thoughts on this experience, having gone through the inaugural episode of the Gauntlet?
So I was confident I was going to do awful because I'm really bad with trivia, but I really like the way this was structured, and the events were unique. It was a lot of fun. And I mean, yeah, I can't wait to see you guys do more.
The other thing is, if I were going to Adepticon next year, Josh and I were talking about doing this live too. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
A live version with crowds and everything would be pretty.
2025.
So we'll do it. We'll look forward to it in 2025. Yeah.
I would have to fight people to get into that room to see that. Definitely.
Dustin, this is the first time I think you and I have met. Is that true?
That is not true. We actually met at Adepticon last year.
Okay.
But you were incredibly busy. So I just kind of
table or charities table.
Yeah. And so I was just like, hey Carl, how's it going?
Oh, well, this has been really fun. It's been fun getting to know you a little bit more.
For sure. I have to say that I figured the cards were stacked against me, and they were. And you should never let Dave play any of these games again. Is where I really have to. It's insider trading, insider info, and it was rigged, and we can all see it.
You know what?
If fisticuffs occur, make sure somebody's filming that. We'll put that as some bonus content.
Dustin, you'll also be happy to know Dave did fail the one orc question.
He did, and he's the progenitor of orc questions only.
Yeah.
That's
shameful.
That's been my thing.
Well, guys, thank you so much. And honestly, thank you for your support on the Patreon. I hope you guys had fun. I know we had a lot of fun doing this. If anybody out there is looking to get involved and you're already on our Patreon, well, make sure you're in that Discord channel, and we perk up a couple days before we're going to actually record and kind of let people know what's going on. But additionally, if you're not a member of that Patreon and you want to be and see some additional content and stuff, or hear some additional content as well, we are providing some of that there too. So you can find more about our Patreon on our website, theindependentcharacters.com, or on our Facebook group. I think we have a link within there too. Or you can just search Patreon for The Independent Characters. No A in independent. Other than that, Josh, we got the YouTube channel going pretty good.
We got a YouTube channel. Content such as episodes like this are going to be, heavily be prominent there. Definitely the best way to engage with some of our content. We'll definitely still have more small short form video specific episodes, but similar full episodes like this. Definitely the place to watch it. Check it out on YouTube. And the other thing I will say is that if you would like to give us any feedback, you love this, you want to see more of it, you want to see the next group of contestants run through the gauntlet, let us know in one of our various community areas.
You know what else we could do? I just thought about that. I'm really hoping this hits, because here's the thing. We put a lot of work into setting it up. But not only that, like, we were excited to do it. I think we thought we had a very fun idea. And so we were excited to, it was fun hosting it. I had a good time hosting it. We could get like other content creators within the 40K realm to do like a content creator version of it. We could do all kinds of stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Love to see that.
I like the idea of the contest of champions too.
It was a fun way for us to bring the community together in yet another way, not just a community warrior lodge or something like that, but like you guys actively participating, everybody that you are involved with in the community, whether you're playing in person or interacting on Discord or something like that, they know a little bit more about you now. And so that's great.
So if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel and given us a like there, please do it. It really does help us out there. And subscribe to us there. It costs you nothing to do. It's just for fun. And if you need to leave us reviews on your podcast aggregator of choice. And we love that too. So I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything else they want to throw out there, and you're welcome to at this point. No? All right. Well, until next time, we are coming to you from the Astronomicon and around, where to the victor goes the spoils.
Where the gauntlet is challenging, but everybody gets 10 points for painted models.
Where no grudge is greater than those between friends in meaningless competition.
And if you're dead last, you're Dustin.
And also, where an underdog can always come back for a swinging victory.
Yes. Well done, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We have had a great time, and we really appreciate your continued participation. Thank you.
I want to see this rivalry grow.
Yeah, me too.
Tired of your old second edition minis? Introducing contrast paints. Step 1, take the mini, put it in a cup. Step 2, open up your contrast medium, give it a little shake, pour it in, just a little bit, and a little bit more. Step 2, take your Citadel stick, give it a stir. Boom!
Magic in a bottle. This episode of The Independent Characters is protected by the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find information on the front page at theindependentcharacters.com.